So to assist me with the Q&A, I want to introduce Raisa Levy, founder of Maseril, which is a nonprofit who helped organize today's event with the iSupport Foundation. Maseril provides aid, support, and education to individuals with vitiligo and albinism. And Raisa will be helping me read some of the questions that come up in the chat. I'm going to actually stop sharing so we can see all of our speakers when they do speak. But I think we can start with the last one, perhaps, that was typed in. So you can either type in your question into the chat or you can raise your hand. And we will do a combination of having you speak out and then reading from the chat. I see Dr. Demasoso, you had a great question.
Yes, so
for our last speaker.
Yes, and the question was, which specific digital mental health tool were used, for the screening? And what is the level of knowledge about AI in the community of study that was done?
Thank you. Do I go ahead or wait? Oh, okay. So the digital tools that we used we had different digital tools. We had the PDQ-9 for depression. We had the GAD-7 for anxiety. So when one enters the platform, they're able to get a universal screening, and from the universal screening, they're able to, system will direct them to the tool that they need. The tools are derived from the DSM-5 and they're standard psychiatric tools. So, and now on the level of knowledge about AI in the communities, we did not study that per se. However, we did note that there is a higher understanding of AI within the areas of Nairobi. However, in the rural areas, it is knowledge and understanding about AI is low. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we have Jonathan, who has a question. His hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dr. David, thank you for such a great presentation. My thinking is this is groundbreaking in the sense that it never occurred to me that music could be a tool for intervening in the mental health arena.
Hello.
So
I think that Jonathan is having connectivity issues. Jonathan, if it's possible to write down your question, it may be very helpful.
To have this is great for me. Directly with affected populations.
Okay, I believe that Jonathan is having some problems. If he writes it down, we'll be able to get back to that. We have another question, and it is from Suzanne. And the question is, what are some implications and discrimination that those with vitiligo and albinism face? And I think that this question is probably open for to Arthur and Didier and anybody else that can answer.
Hey, is Denise still here? Miss Crooms, are you there? Okay.
Yes, Denise is still here, but she may be.
I'm sorry, I stepped.
Go champion.
I'm still here.
Hey, do you want to tackle that question?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So the question was about the stigmatization surrounding the implication and discrimination that those with vitiligo and albinism face.
How do we deal with it?
Oh, yeah, that we definitely need our support system. You need your strong support system. You need your village. You need your family, and you need other people with vitiligo. I tell you what, it just helps. And that's what I've learned in the last few years, starting this nonprofit, is that it really helps to have other people in your life with vitiligo. I can't express it enough. Because like I said, there were times when I didn't want to go to the store by myself, especially Walmart, that I would call my friend and say, hey, you want to go with me? Another person with vitiligo, or if I, would go with my husband. There were times when I didn't want to go in the store, and my husband was very understanding and was like, you don't have to. I'll just go. And because there's times you feel strong, and there's times you don't feel strong. And so that support in your village is very important. And for me, I have faith in God. That's very important, because it reminds me all the time that it's not just about you, it's about who else you can help, to walk in it, until there's a cure. I like to say my motto is boots on the ground until a cure is found. Just helping people walk in it. And that's why, like I said, spreading awareness is so important. Because we want to take the fear away. People fear, children fear, it had come to a point in time where I would just look over children's heads, because it's like, oh, here come a kid, and then my face was, so blotchy, and it's like, oh, what's going to come out of their mouth? But, there are times when I had teachable moments with kids, when I could say, yes, I am looking different, but you don't have to be afraid, because it's not contagious, and yeah, doing different things to empower yourself. I know I think, like I said, the support is very important. Did you hear me okay?
Well said. Yeah, no, you knocked it out the park.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. There's a question now that is in Joelle's expertise, and it relates to workplace stress. And the question is, can you address any thoughts of added workplace stress as it relates to toxic stress and race in the workplace?
Oh yeah, that's kind of my client group.
Okay.
It's definitely prevalent. It's a large topic of discussion of what I discuss with my coaching clients. I do find that if it's going into a lane where it's debilitating or negatively impacting their life, where they cannot function or do their jobs or perform appropriately, then it's going into the mental health area. And so I know when to stop the conversation. I can come up with some actionable coaching skills that we can take on. But if it's going into a place where their lives are severely impacted, where they're not able to function and perform the essential functions of their job, that's mental health. So I'll usually refer them to their therapist, or try to refer a therapist to them. but it does occur. There are coping strategies that you can take within the workplace if you do feel that you are being discriminated against, or if there's like some microaggressions or macroaggressions that are occurring. We work on communication tools on coaching upward, which has been effective. I've been able to coach upward for over 20 years and never lost my job. No leaders were ever harmed in coaching upward and communicating what your needs are and what you need to do. Same methodology of rising, reflecting, thinking about what your needs are, where your limits are, identifying the right time to have the conversation, strategizing what you're going to say, because leaders need to know things very short and sweet. So you need to know what the specific events are, what the behavior was, what you witnessed, and what its impact was on you. And then you execute, you share that information and come up with solutions. Leaders don't come up with problems, they come up with solutions. So sharing what the solutions, it's really about setting the intention of collaboration and support. If you're not getting anywhere with that person and you're still having this stressful situation or these racist or hostile work environment experiences, then you need to speak with your human resources professional, the principal if you're a student, your union if you are in a labor union. Whatever you need to do, you need to speak up and bubble that up. It's interesting that the theme of this is speak out. You need to speak out. When in doubt, speak out. And you need to really just raise your voice. When you raise your voice, you raise your value. So it's really important that that you're creating a safe space for yourself. And if people aren't doing that for you, you need to bubble it up and make sure that that happens. And if that doesn't work, then you need to call me for some resume and interviewing support. So look, we can work on finding you a new job.
Well, thank you for that. And this is a question that is for Dr. Okello and Dr. Damasoso. The question is about children facing mental health issues in school, and it's what are the barriers to getting mental health support and education in the school setting in African countries? What is being done about this?
No, thank you. Do I start? Okay. In Kenya, before they brought these the new insurance system, we had the national health insurance system, and that system provided insurance covers to high school and university students. So the children were covered, the students were covered. However, now in the new one, they are not covered. And so the Ministry of Health is creating a new program in partnership with the Ministry of Education so that they can also be covered. However, we are also researching Mindful for Schools program. It is a program that is targeting the youth, high school and university, so that they are able to better cope with life challenges, mental stresses, and live more productive lives. Thank you.
Dr. Damasoso, do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you very much. In Cameroon, the main barriers are absence of integration of mental health into primary health care. There is still a very, very difficult situation of accessing effectively, even though there's a lot of progress, because from a historical perspective, Cameroon has really done a lot of progress, but it's still really not enough as a result of the changing needs of the population. So the insufficient integration of mental health care into primary health care is therefore affecting the access of mental care services in communities, in schools specifically. Secondly, there is the absence of collaboration, effective collaboration between the parties, the several stakeholders in mental health. Normally, mental is everyone's business. It shouldn't be just the Ministry of Public Health. It's an intersectoral, multi-sectoral endeavor. So the Ministry of Public Health is the only one carrying the agenda. There isn't mental health specifically in the agenda of the Ministry of Secondary Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Basic Education, and this is not good. This is not good. Nonetheless, there are little initiatives which have been made, but because of finance, because of difficulties pertaining to, I believe, changes in the context, the context of how young people evolve. Because now, actually, in Cameroon, what is really a problem is drug addiction. But unfortunately, there's a tie between drug addiction and mental issues. So all these barriers are linked, and that is why it's really important that in African countries in general, mental health be considered to be something which is multi-stakeholder. Several people should be involved in it, several actors, and this community process is really key, because Africans are community driven. By involving different people into carrying the mental burden, it's going to facilitate the integration, and it's going to enable in schools, in markets, in homes, easy access to mental care services. And finally, there are somehow initiatives which have proven to be very interesting. For instance, training school counselors. School counselors are as educational professionals who are considered to be like medical doctors of the educational system, because they have a sensitivity which is not like teachers. Their training is also different, and they can assess, they have the skills to assess, to do psychological testing within the school setting, because they have individual sessions with students and group sessions. They can perform counseling, be it individual counseling or group counseling, and effectively they can also use psychotherapy depending on the case. So their training enables them to be capable of performing some work, mental support in schools. There has been very interesting work done with them in the training of guidance counselors, just that it is insufficient. Not only the guidance counselors themselves, or school counselors, as it could be called, are not enough in Cameroon. There are about 2,000 or 2,500 from statistics, if I can remember. The training is not also consistent, so it makes schools who have school counselors not being capable of effectively delivering mental health care activities, which are obviously very necessary to promote mental health in schools, to reduce violence, which is also a very key problem in Cameroonian schools, and also to support the community, because school counselors have the capacity to go without the school and engage parents, social workers, organizations to support children. So basically, that is the context of the barriers in Cameroon with respect to schools.
And
Thank you. And I wanted to say something about that because I work in the school setting in Los Angeles, LAUSD, Unified School District, and we have over 1,000 therapists and social workers in our district. So I'm very proud about that. And I definitely agree with you that the school setting is a great place to target students and provide help for them. And I hope that we can see some growth in that area in your countries.
And Jonathan is making a comment about it, and he says that that there is a great need to sensitize mental health professionals at district and sub-district level about the use of music therapy. He's very precise when it comes to that. And the local musician could be trained to lend support to using music to help heal people living with mental health conditions. So hopefully we can see that movement happen. And here's the last question, and we only have a few minutes to answer to this question, and it is from Dr. Ebelwan. his question is pertaining to individuals living with vitiligo and or albinism. What do you think are the biggest challenges and some ways to address those challenges? We only have about 2 minutes. Anyone can take the question. Joyal, you have overcome a lot of hurdles when it comes to your personal dealings with mental health. So do you think that there's some sort of rapport between people with vitiligo and albinism and your sector? You're muted.
The biggest thing that I think the biggest thing that I think is the connection is that support is there. I think the biggest piece is knowing that there's support out there, is educating people to know that there are resources out there, or creating the resources. So I have a different skin condition that created, just anxiety and depression and heightened that. But it is knowing where to go and who to go to for the help that you need in order to go through it. So I think the biggest challenge is access, because I'm hearing that throughout the whole of the summit is access, but also education. It's just knowing where to go for the help, because there are people out there that want to help you. It's just, where do we go? And I love what Dr. O'Kelly was talking about with music therapy, because it reaches different people. People always think of therapy as just sitting on a couch and talking about your feelings, but there are different ways of therapy. So it's the education piece. And I don't know how else, other than, access at schools or what have you, or continuing to share it. It starts with one person. So feeling very lone and cavey, like I was talking about, inward, always feeling inward when you're going through these bouts of depression or anxiety, is knowing the resources. So there's got to be some way that we can continue to educate people, whether it's through social media, or it was kind of disturbing to know that women don't have much access to digital tools as men do in certain countries. We got to get the word out somehow, that there is a village there to support. I don't know how else to do that, but I think it's connection and community.
Thank you. And Ben, do you have anything to add? Because you are a big advocate for vitiligo.
Oh yes, I am a very, very big advocate for it. I just feel like I don't know how else we could put this on a platform, like a larger platform, but we need to, like, I don't know, scream it from the rooftops. I have no idea how else to get. I mean, I know that there's, Ben is doing a commercial, so there's more. I've been seeing more and more commercials here in the States, but there's just got to be more awareness brought to it. TEDx was a huge forum for me when I was talking about my alopecia areata. Perhaps, being able to reach out on platforms at a global level from there can also help educate and inform. That's just a suggestion. I don't know.
I don't
It's
have
a hard question.
I don't have much to add. I mean, having had vitiligo for 10 years, I've seen so much growth in the world, and I'm just so pleased with the awareness that's going around the world that I don't dwell in the unawareness anymore. So it's maybe I'm the wrong person to answer that question. I don't know, Denise, do you got something to add to it?
I say definitely I agree with the things that Joelle was saying, because that's what's needed in schools, and for people living with it. When I do health fairs, I run across people who there's still some ignorance. I'm sorry to say. It's like, they still want to think that there's something they can get. They still don't want to touch money that you give them, you know, it's still kind of out there on a you know, local level. But I think we definitely need to keep doing what you're doing, Ben, getting commercials out here, you know, getting education out here, and education from doctors, dermatologists. You know, they need to be more schooled in dealing with vitiligo and the mental health aspect of it as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. We have about 1 minute left. I would love for you to fill out the survey and the link. There's also QR codes if you want access to, give us a donation, to learn more about resources related to vitiligo and albinism, also mental health resources. Thank you again for your presence, participation, and advocacy. Thank you for joining us today and taking time from your busy schedules. And some of you are on vacations. You're amazing. I'm honored again to have shared this space with all of our amazing speakers and all who have tuned in today. We hope that today's discussions were impactful and provide inspiration and some guidance on how to live healthier and happier lives. And we hope that you continue to speak up and speak out in support of reducing the misconceptions and stigma associated with mental health and other health conditions. Let's continue our advocacy and encourage those who are suffering to seek help and do our part to support community and global change. And finally, next year's topic will be mental health crisis of environmental stigma. So we hope that we see you all again next year for our annual Speak Out event. Thank you so much.
And if I may just add, we want to recognize all the countries that were here. We had Belgium, Cameroon, Canada, England, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Togo, and of course, the United States. This is wonderful. This is definitely taking the conversation global, and we want to continue to do this. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jonathan.
Thank you
Thank
to
you
all.
for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you, Raisa.
Thank you, Colette, for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you for the wonderful speakers.
Thanks for the invite.
We were able to pull Joelle out of her busy thing, so that's great.